The Doctrine of Biblical Predestination and Free Will, Ante-Nicene Church Fathers. Perspective. Part 2, Historical Theology, the Ante-Nicene Perspective. Chapter 6, Free Will in Ante-Nicene Writings. Response to Deterministic Heresies. Rejection of Gnostic and Manichaean Fatalism. The Ante-Nicene Church Fathers, active between 100 and 325 AD, confronted deterministic heresies like Gnosticism and, to a lesser extent in this period, early Manichaean influences, which threatened the biblical understanding of human free will. Their rejection of Gnostic and Manichaean fatalism was a critical response to preserve moral accountability and human agency, reflecting their commitment to a theology that balanced divine sovereignty with freedom, distinct from later Augustinian determinism. This stance emerged in a context of defending orthodox Christianity against philosophies that negated human responsibility. Gnostic fatalism. Gnosticism, particularly the Valentinian strain, posited a cosmological determinism where human destiny was fixed by innate natures, pneumatic, spiritual, saved, psychic, soulish, conditionally free, and hylic, material, damned, as Irenaeus details in Against Heresies 1.6.1-2, they say that the pneumatic are saved by nature, the hylic are by nature destined to corruption. This negated free will, attributing salvation or doom to a flawed demiurge's creation, not personal choice. Irenaeus counters in 1.6.2, by this they destroy human liberty, and in 4.37.1, God made man a free agent from the beginning, not bound by necessity. Affirming agency universally, Genesis 1 verses 26-27. Justin Martyr, in First Apology 43, rejects such fate. Unless the human race have the power of avoiding evil, they are not accountable, aligning with Romans 2:6's judgment by works. Their response rooted freedom in Scripture, Deuteronomy 30:19. Opposing Gnostic elitism with a universal call, John 3 verse 16. Manichaean fatalism, emerging later, c. 240 AD, Manichaeism intensified dualistic determinism, portraying humans as pawns in a cosmic battle between light and darkness, with actions dictated by material entrapment. Though less prominent pre-325, its early influence prompted Tertullians on the soul 21, the soul is free, to choose good or evil, rejecting any notion of inherent bondage beyond choice. Clement of Rome's 1 Clement 8:2, turn from his way and live, implies agency, not cosmic fate. This rejection countered Greco-Roman Stoicism, Hymarmene, and Gnostic Manichaean determinism, ensuring predestination, Ephesians 1 verse 5, served redemption, not fate, 1 Timothy 2 verse 4. The Fathers' theology preserved dignity and accountability, not necessity. Irenaeus, Against Heresies 1.6.1-2. They maintain that the spiritual seed are saved by nature, being incapable of corruption. And they assert that the material go to corruption according to their nature. But the psychic are in a middle state, and have free will, and can incline to good or evil. In Against Heresies 1.6.1-2, Irenaeus outlines the Gnostic Valentinian anthropology, pneumatic, spiritual, hylic, material, and psychic, soulish, to expose its fatalistic heresy, rejecting it as antithetical to human agency. Saved by nature, physis, and go to corruption according to their nature, fixed destinies, negating choice, while psychic, have free will, limits agency to a subset. Contradicting Genesis 1:26-27's universal image of God. Irenaeus sees this as heretical determinism, akin to Stoic Hymarmene, where a demiurge, not the true God, dictates outcomes. His response in 1.6.2, by this they destroy human liberty, frames Gnosticism as stripping Dignity, a view he counters with 4.37.1's, God made man a free agent. For Irenaeus, freedom is essential. Romans 2:6 as judgment by works requires choice, not innate natures. His context. Refuting Gnostic elitism. Drives this universal affirmation, spiritual seed versus material. Rejects John 3:16's, whoever believes, imposing a cosmic script he denies, Ephesians 1 verse 5. Unlike Augustine's later Predestination, Ante-Nicene ch. 100, Irenaeus sees no dual decree, God's plan. Invites all, 1 Timothy 2 verse 4, with punishment tied to neglect, Hebrews 2 verse 3, not fate. His Jewish lens, Deuteronomy 30 verse 19, ensures agency, inclined to good or evil, misapplied by Gnostics. Reflects human capacity, not determinism. This rejection shapes Ante-Nicene theology, free will. Preserves moral order, not a predestined hierarchy, countering Manichaean echoes of material bondage. Irenaeus, against Heresies 1.6.2. By this assertion they destroy human liberty, and not only so, but they make God the author of their ruin, which is blasphemous, for they say that some are saved by nature, and others are lost by nature. Irenaeus against Heresies 1.6. 2 directly condemns Gnostic fatalism for undermining free will, a critique central to the Ante-Nicene rejection of deterministic heresies. Destroy human liberty. Libertas Humana, targets the Valentinian claim, 1.6.1, that natures, pneumatic saved, hylic lost. Fix destiny, negating agency. Irenaeus ties this to blasphemy, make God the author of their ruin, refuting Gnostic dualism where a demiurge, not the biblical God, dictates fates. Contradicting 1 Timothy 2:4's, desires all people to be saved. For Irenaeus, freedom is universal. 4.37.1, free agent from the beginning, rooted in Genesis 1 verses 26 to 27, humans choose. Deuteronomy 30 verse 19, not God ordaining ruin. His, saved by nature, lost by nature, critique parallels Manichaean light-dark dualism, which he'd similarly reject, ensuring God's goodness. Ezekiel 33 verse 11. Unlike Augustine's double predestination, Ante-Nicene ch. 100, Irenaeus sees punishment as human choice, Romans 2 verse 6, not divine decree. Gnostic fatalism inverts this. Stripping accountability. His context, defending orthodoxy, rebuts elitism, some, others. Denies John 3:16's universal offer. The Ante-Nicene lens, opposing Stoic fate, affirms agency. God's foreknowledge, Romans 8 verse 29, invites, not compels, response, Romans 10 verse 9. Irenaeus. Theology limits predestination to redemption, Ephesians 1 verse 5, not determinism, preserving dignity. Against Gnostic Manichaean necessity. Irenaeus, against Heresies 4.37.1. God made man a free agent from the beginning, possessing his own power, as he has his own soul, to obey the commands of God voluntarily, and not by compulsion from God. Irenaeus against Heresies 4.37.1 asserts free will as a rebuttal to Gnostic and nascent Manichaean fatalism, affirming human agency universally. Free agent from the beginning, autoexousios. Tied to possessing his own power, potestas sua, roots freedom in creation, Genesis 1 verses 26 to 27. Countering Gnostic natures, 1.6.1, where only psychics choose, not all. To obey, voluntarily. Voluntary, and, not by compulsion, non-coactus, reject deterministic heresies, God's commands, Deuteronomy 30 verse 19, invite, not dictate, response, aligning with Romans 10:9's faith. Irenaeus' own soul emphasizes dignity, agency reflects God's image, not a demiurge's script. Against Heresies 1.6.2. His context, refuting Valentinian fate, opposes Manichaean dualism. Humans aren't pawns of cosmic forces but free, John 3 verse 16. Unlike Augustine's irresistible grace. Enchiridion ch 97, Irenaeus sees no coercion, punishment follows neglect, Hebrews 2 verse 3, not predestined ruin, 1 Timothy 2 verse 4. The Ante-Nicene rejection of Stoic Hymarmene finds here a scriptural echo, freedom ensures accountability, Romans 2 verse 6, not necessity. Irenaeus Universal. Man denies Gnostic elitism, affirming all can obey, not just a few. His theology limits. Predestination to redemption, Ephesians 1 verse 5, preserving choice against fatalistic heresies. Justin Martyr, First Apology 43. We have learned from the prophets, and we hold it to be true, that punishments, and chastisements, and good rewards, are rendered according to the merit of each man's actions. Unless the human race have the power of avoiding evil and choosing good by free choice, they are not accountable for their actions. God foreknows some as good and others as evil, but he does not compel. Justin Martyr's First Apology 43 rejects Gnostic and Proto-Manichaean fatalism, affirming free will as universal. Punishments, rendered according to actions, cf. Romans 2 verse 6, ties. Accountability to choice, proeresis, not nature's, Gnostic pneumatic hylic, or cosmic fate. Manichaean light-dark. Unless the human race have the power, by free choice, asserts agency. As prerequisite, echoing Deuteronomy 30:19's, choose life. Justin's, Prophets, Ezekiel 33 verse 11. Ground this in Scripture, God invites, not compels, contrasting Gnostic determinism, against Heresies 1.6.1. God foreknows, but he does not compel, prognosis, Romans 8 verse 29. Distinguishes foresight from causation, rejecting Stoic Hymarmene and Manichaean necessity. Unlike Augustine's predestination, Enchiridion ch 100, Justin sees no dual decree. His context. Defending Christianity, opposes elitism, human race ensures all choose, John 3 verse 16, not a predestined few. The Ante-Nicene lens limits predestination to salvation, Ephesians 1 verse 5, not fate. 1 Timothy 2 verse 4, preserving dignity, punishment reflects neglect, Hebrews 2 verse 3, not divine script. Justin's theology counters heresies by rooting agency in moral order. Tertullian, On the Soul 21. The soul is free, and therefore its actions are voluntary, it has the power to choose good or evil, and is not bound by necessity, unless it be by its own will. Tertullian's On the Soul 21 rejects Gnostic and emerging Manichaean fatalism, affirming universal agency. The soul is free, libera anima, and actions are voluntary, voluntaria. Counter Gnostic natures, against heresies 1.6.1. All humans choose, not just psychics. Power to choose good or evil aligns with Genesis 2:16-17's command, ensuring accountability, Romans 2:6, not fate. Not bound by necessity, non-necessitas, opposes Manichaean dualism, souls aren't trapped by matter, and Stoic determinism, echoing Justin's, God does not compel, First Apology 43. Tertullian's, unless, by its own will, ties bondage to choice, not divine decree. Unlike Augustine's later control, Enchiridion ch 97. His context, refuting heresies, rejects Gnostic elitism, all have agency, John 3 verse 16, not a cosmic script. The Ante-Nicene lens sees predestination as redemption, Ephesians 1 verse 5, not necessity, 1 Timothy 2 verse 4, punishment follows. Neglect, Hebrews 2 verse 3, not fate. Tertullian's theology preserves dignity through free will, not determinism. Clement of Rome, 1 Clement 8:2. The Lord said, I have no pleasure in the death of the sinner, but rather that he turn from his way and live. Let us turn away from willful neglect. Clements 1 Clement 8:2, citing Ezekiel 33 verse 11, rejects Gnostic and Manichaean fatalism. Affirming agency universally. I have no pleasure in the death, Guk below my tun nenaten. Reflects God's will for life, 1 Timothy 2 verse 4, not predestined ruin, opposing Gnostic heilig doom. Against Heresies 1.6.1. Turn from his way, epistreps, echoing epistrepho, demands choice, aligning with, turn away from willful neglect, hikantos peroramen, not cosmic fate. Clement's pastoral call counters Manichaean entrapment, humans can turn, Romans 10 verse 9, not bound by necessity. Unlike Augustine's double predestination, Enchiridion ch 100, Clement sees punishment as neglect's result, Hebrews 2 verse 3, not decree, all his creatures, 7:5, choose. His Jewish lens, Deuteronomy 30 verse 19, rejects Gnostic determinism, against Heresies 1.6.2. Ensuring dignity, agency reflects God's image, Genesis 1 verses 26-27. The Ante-Nicene Theology limits predestination to salvation, Ephesians 1 verse 5, not fate. Romans 6 verse 16. Do you not know that if you present yourselves to anyone as obedient slaves, you are slaves of the one whom you obey, either of sin, which leads to death, or of obedience, which leads to righteousness? Romans 6 verse 16, from Paul's discourse on sin and grace, powerfully supports the Ante-Nicene rejection of Gnostic and Manichaean fatalism by emphasizing human agency in choosing obedience, a principle Irenaeus defends in Against Heresies 4.37.1, God made man a free agent, to obey the commands of God voluntarily. The phrase, if you present yourselves, in peristet hudis, using peristemi, to offer, implies a deliberate act, not a predestined state. Countering Gnostic natures where pneumatics are saved and hylics damned by fate, against Heresies 1.6.1. You are slaves of the one whom you obey, ho hypokuit, either sin, hamartia, or obedience, hypoco, presents a binary choice, echoing Deuteronomy 30:19. Life and death, rejecting Manichaean cosmic entrapment where matter dictates destiny. For Justin Martyr, First Apology 43, power of avoiding evil and choosing good, this affirms accountability, death or righteousness stems from free will, not divine compulsion or inherent nature. Clements 1 Clement 8:2, turn from his way and live, finds here a parallel, obedience leads to life, Romans 10 verse 9, not a scripted outcome. Against Gnostic fatalism, against heresies. 1.6.2, destroy human liberty, Paul's universal, you, ensures all can choose, not just an elite. John 3 verse 16. Tertullian's On the Soul 21, power to choose good or evil, sees this as dignity, not necessity, opposing Manichaean dualism. Unlike Augustine's predestination, Enchiridion ch. 100, the fathers limit God's will to salvation's offer, 1 Timothy 2 verse 4, not fate, Romans 6:16. Agency refutes deterministic heresies, affirming moral responsibility, Romans 2 verse 6, in Ante-Nicene Theology. Galatians 5 verse 13. For you were called to freedom, brothers. Only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. Galatians 5 verse 13, Paul's exhortation to the Galatians, bolsters the Ante-Nicene rejection of Gnostic and Manichaean fatalism by framing freedom as a divine gift, a stance Tertullian upholds in On The soul 21, the soul is free, not bound by necessity. Called to freedom, EP Eleutheria. Eclothete, using Eleutheria, reflects God's purpose, Genesis 1 verses 26 to 27, countering Gnostic determinism where nature's fixed destiny, against Heresies 1.6.1. Do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, Maten Eleutherian eis aformentasarchi, implies agency, freedom. Can be directed towards sin or love, echoing Irenaeus, to obey, voluntarily, against Heresies. 4.37.1, through love serve one another, dia tes agapes doluet alleloi, using dulio, to serve, suggests a choice to align with God's will, John 13 verse 34. Not a Manichaean trap of material bondage. For Justin Martyr, First Apology 43, choosing good by free choice, this counters Stoic Hymarmene, freedom enables moral action, not fate. Clements 1 Clement 8:2, turn away from willful neglect, parallels this, freedom misused brings punishment, Hebrews 2 verse 3. Not predestined doom. Against Gnostic elitism, against Heresies 1.6.2, brothers, universalizes agency, all are called, 1 Timothy 2 verse 4, not just pneumatics. Unlike Augustine's control. Enchiridion ch 97, the Fathers see predestination as salvation's framework, Ephesians 1 verse 5, not necessity, Galatians 5:13's freedom affirms dignity, Romans 10 verse 9, refuting deterministic heresies by rooting responsibility in choice, Romans 2 verse 6, a hallmark of Ante-Nicene theology. Revelation 3 verse 20. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If anyone hears my voice and opens the door, I will come in to him and eat with him, and he with me. Revelation 3. 20. Christ's appeal to Laodicea underpins the Ante-Nicene rejection of Gnostic and Manichaean fatalism by depicting agency as essential to divine relationship, a view Irenaeus champions in against Heresies 4.37.1, not by compulsion from God. I stand at the door and knock, kruo, using kruo, to knock, presents an invitation, not coercion, countering Gnostic natures, against Heresies 1.6.1, where destiny is fixed. If anyone hears, and opens. Ean tisakaus, kai anoix, with a kuo, to hear, and anoigo, to open, conditions entry on. Choice, echoing Justin's, saved by his own choice, First Apology 43. I will come in, eat with him, isolosomai, diapniso met, autu, promises fellowship, John 14 verse 23, not a Manichaean script of cosmic fate. For Clement, 1 Clement 8:2, turn, and live, this aligns with Ezekiel 33:11, agency enables response, not predestined exclusion. Tertullian's on the Soul 21, actions are voluntary, sees this as dignity. Opening reflects will, not necessity. Against Gnostic elitism. Against Heresies 1.6.2, anyone, tis, universalizes the call, John 3 verse 16, not a select few. Unlike Augustine's predestination, Enchiridion ch 100, the Fathers limit God's will to salvation's offer. 1 Timothy 2 verse 4, Revelation 3:20's agency refutes fate, ensuring accountability, Romans 2 verse 6. The Ante-Nicene theology, opposing Stoic determinism, affirms freedom, God invites. Ephesians 1 verse 5, not compels, preserving human responsibility against heresies.